Hi everyone and welcome to this week's video. So I went on a recent trip to Mexico and due to luggage restrictions I wasn't able to put my violin in its regular case. So what I had to do was take everything apart, wrap it in bubble wrap and put it in my luggage ready for the hold. So what I'm doing here to take it apart, the first thing is labeling the pegs. Now you might think that's a strange thing to do, but because this is a Stentor 2 violin, when I get to the other side and I want to put the pegs back in, I just want to be sure that everything is going to go back smoothly. Also, I'm color coding the letters as well because the strings I've got on this violin are dominant strings, and at the bottom of the dominant strings they are color coded. So I'm just matching up with the yellow G string and the yellow G on the peg, the blue A string and the blue A on the peg, and so on and so forth. It's just to help me so I can remember which string goes where. So now I'm just unwinding the E string, taking that off. What you can see here is the little tubing that goes underneath the bridge to help protect the E string. Just make sure that you keep that at the bottom where the ball end is because you don't want to lose that. Then just wrapping up the E string and putting it to one side with the peg. Then I'm simply doing the same process with the other three strings. Okay, next I'm just taking off the tail piece that just literally pops out. There's nothing fancy going on there. It just sort of unloops from the button which is at the bottom of the violin, and I'm just putting that to one side. Then I'm just popping everything into a plastic bag ready for travel, and that's pretty much it. Wrap the violin up and put it in your suitcase. I've also got a spare set of strings just in case any of the strings broke when I was replacing them when I got to the other side. Okay, now I'm putting it all back together again. And all I'm doing here is just putting all the corresponding strings which are color coded with the letters that you see here on the pegs, and I'm going to start with the D string just because it's one of the strings in the middle. You can start with the D or the A. I just like to because I just think it's better when you put the bridge on. And I'm using a set of tweezers here to poke the string through the hole in the peg. Because the strings have been used, they tend to kind of bend and coil up and everything, and sometimes you just can't get your finger in enough to poke them. So what I'm doing here is just using some tweezers to help me do that. I'm just winding the string on a little bit so it doesn't come out. Then I'm going to put the tail piece on. Once I've put the tail piece on, it just goes on exactly the same way as it did before. You might find it wants to kind of ping up, but once you put the string on, everything will be fine. So again, when you put the string back onto the tail piece, you might just want to use some tweezers just to make sure the ball end is pushed firmly in. And then all I'm doing here is just tightening up the string just a little bit. I know I've got to put the bridge in later, so I'm not too fussed about how tight. So I'm putting the bridge in now, and the lowest part of the bridge must go towards the right, where you can see my finger is on, or my thumb is on it now. So the lowest part of the bridge is where the E string goes. The highest part of the bridge is on the left where the G string goes. That's very, very important. And what I'm showing you here is how to line the bridge up. So those two little marks in the F holes that you see I'm pointing to here, make sure the bridge is in line with those. Then pop your string into the little rivet hole that you've got on the bridge, and that's pretty much it. You can then start to put the other strings in. The next one I'm putting in here is the A string, just because it's the other string in the middle, just helps counterbalance so I don't have issues with the bridge popping out or anything like that. And that's it. Again, I'm just using some tweezers just to help me thread the string through the hole in the peg, winding it up just a fraction just to get it going. Then putting it in the tail piece and just winding it up. Again, don't worry about tuning it. You're not going to tune it until the very end. You just want to get the strings in for now. Moving on to the G string and then finishing off with the E string. When you get to the E string, don't forget the little tubing that you had and that needs to go over the bridge, so you might just want to slacken that off a tiny bit just so you can pop the tubing underneath the bridge, as so. There we go. And once you've done that, you can then tighten all the strings and you can start to tune them. It might take you a little while to tune them, but that's absolutely fine. They should stay pretty well in tune because they're already tuned strings. Just make sure that your bridge is in the right place, everything is level, and your bridge is perfectly straight, as you can see I'm doing here. Then you're done, you're ready to tune. So I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you for watching.